Okay, outside did not work out, but I found a light in here that gives me the effect I'm looking for. It improves the general encircling ecosystem really well. So let's just stick around in that particular joint. I wish I had 1 minute. Okay, that's the best that I could do. I'm encircled by a whole bunch of pillows, trying to cover this background. I need to just get this message out the way. Yes, the last point in particular that I ended at was that, yes, I find it bizarre that black men are content. They're happy to take in their stride the fact that literally everybody is out here trying to protect them, while black women are completely ignored. It's kind of namby-pamby. It's kind of feeble. It's kind of childish. And the embracing of the boyish nature of the black man by the black man is the reason why black women are in as much pain as they're in. You cannot just take that in your stride, but nonetheless you do. This is how bad it is. Like I said, in the scriptures it is written that true religion makes for pretty much the protection of women and children. Everybody needs to be protected, but who protects men is God, and who protects women are men, and of course God. So when then men don't see it as their prerogative to rather protect women, instead of expecting women to protect them, that's when things then just start to fall apart. And there is no single demographic of men more expecting of female protection than black men. It is the most bizarre thing out there. And the protection of black men by black women and pretty much the whole planet has made us as black women just these dregs recipients, like bottom of the barrel recipients of the last scraps of what the whole world has to offer. And it is literally manufacturing an angry black woman syndrome, with some of these black women being in the path of least resistance, thinking that they just need to take this in their stride, and otherwise they're going to have a very hard life. So when black women are protecting black men, and there's only a small percentage that are trying to stand on their biblical needs as women, it means that there's nowhere for us to look. When I started to, other than God, when I started to speak Lana, I spoke about how in my own heart, very personally, there is a homicidal bone, as in a murderous bone, towards not so much black men in totality, but a certain grain of them. They've been manufactured. I then highlighted earlier, when I was on the street walking, that why in the world am I losing my train of thought? I need to find my bearings. I need to find my bearings. My bearings. I spoke about how it is that, yes, not even when I was on the street, like a lot earlier, even before then, I spoke about pet peeves. I said that everybody has their thing. Everybody has their pet peeve thing. Everybody has their I won't take it or I will take it thing. There are certain things that when certain people do them, you know what it is that causes you to just write them off altogether. And I spoke about how my pet peeve are licentious, insistent, persistent, pesky men who don't take no for an answer. Do you want to know why some black men don't take no for an answer? It's because not only does the world protect them, but other black women, you protect them. It is a form of conditioning, a form of social conditioning, a form of training called positive reinforcement. It is the reason why they're so besotted with women that act like mother towards them. They are rewarded in spite of bad behavior by omission, right? So instead of rewarding a person for bad behavior, when you reward them for just merely being, when there is no system of rewards and punishment, when it's just, you win no matter what. All you do is win no matter what, like that song. When you win no matter what, you will expect to win no matter what. When you win no matter what, you will expect to win no matter what. Even where it is that you have hit a dead break, you have hit a T-junction. Even where a person has said no, you will keep singing, all I do is win no matter what. Until you're so abusive that frankly, your death is now the necessary evil that needs to happen for everybody to be rid of the menace that you are. I highlighted earlier that black boys are better than black men because black boys still are growing up and black boys have not been so trained to win no matter what that they now no longer care to acknowledge the plight of the black girl. So we have better experiences under boyfriends when we are much younger than we do under husbands when we are older. And the sad thing is, the women who get older, that ransack each other so that these men can continue to win no matter what. And then when we get tired and angry, black women angry, upset in our older years, we're called bitter broads. And then they look towards the young women, not realizing, these young women, that we can't win because our men win no matter what. We're just in the, like I made the analogy with the train that's falling off a cliff. They're in the train cars that are far behind. They're at the back, while we, the older women, are the ones that are busy falling off a cliff, and our bodies bashing against concrete, dying. Alright, yeah, inevitably it's gonna catch up. So the men who are complacently observing the winning men, so the men who win no matter what, who just take what they want, the ones who sit back and do nothing, you're the ones that are being given a bad rap and a horrific reputation as black men. The fact that you are complacent and are doing nothing, and every so often when you're dealing with a bitter broad, like an older black woman that is upset and angry, when you just tell yourself, who is 25, yeah, cool, Pinky will be less daunting to you. But the problem is that you're being destroyed in totality as black men in how it is that people view you, because over time, there is going to be a belief that there is no recovering for you. There's going to end up being a general sentiment that I'm not going to win here. As a woman, it's just not going to give. Like, eventually there's going to be a mass migration from you, black men, is what I'm getting at. Because when you are so stubborn and stuck in your ways that you cannot even correct the ills that are destroying your communities, because it's just easier to go and settle for a younger woman. Eventually, with society diversifying the way that it is right now, women will actively make a decision that never again am I going to date a black guy. You don't understand. Like, it's bad for you in the end. People are just going to get to a place where they are like, everybody has their own issues, but the issue in the black community that I am traumatized by, it's too much. I can't take it. It's a pet peeve. It is that which I have no concessions concerning. Angina leg room nana. I'm not going to take in even an iota of it. La, I am not settling. This is not something that I don't just recover from it. I can't just let it slide. In other words, you are going to walk in so much of a deal breaker that women won't let it slide to a point where blanket application of this moral turpitude is going to then clothe your sons and clothe every other man that's not like this, such that black women will literally reject you just by mere virtue of being black. When I was watching TikTok today, I was like, I'm 40 years old. I'm 40. And because of my age, even though my black ain't cracking, more so are these guys who win no matter what, feeling like you're gonna take what I give you nkani. And Angie, I'm not being protected by women, and neither are women standing for this wrong thing against it, sorry. Instead, they keep on supporting the agenda of these men. Not only that, you protect them. Men don't need our protection. We need theirs. And in the black community, you keep on spoon feeding, as like pop-up spoon feeding, baby bottle feeding whole grown men to feel like all they do is win no matter what. The fact that we go to war with each other as women whenever there are indiscretions performed by men against all of us is problematic. They are so entitled to protection that, like I said, in America, there's like a whole Black Lives Matter movement or a protect black people movement that, however, is strangely, secretly nuanced in it, rather just the protection of black men and not so much black women. The plight of black women is not as proliferated, and there is not as much uproar against the mistreatment of black women as there is when black men are mistreated. You are men. You have got these big voices. You must stand up for yourself. You're men. Like, stand up for yourself. Speak for yourselves. Complain for yourselves. You are men. For you to expect women to go to war rioting, getting their hands dirty for you, while you cannot fulfill basic biblical responsibilities to take care of women and children, is the reason why you are so underestimated globally, on the left and on the right, by every other race on earth. You expect women to have your backs in a way that you have not any of theirs. And this here activity, because you keep on succeeding so much in it, because you just get what you want even though you haven't earned anything, you are like the worst case even of positive reinforcement of unsavory behavior, because it's your behavior you're not being rewarded for evil behavior. You're being rewarded for any behavior at all. It's like there is nothing that can ever go wrong. Like all you do is win, no matter what. Whether you do good, whether you do bad, you get rewarded. Whether you sit or you stand, you get rewarded. When there is no system of consequence management, and when there is no system of rewards and punishment, the only behavior you will walk in is entitlement. The only behavior you will walk in is entitlement. That is the only behavior that you will walk in. Feel as if though there's nothing that I can do wrong, so I will do whatever. And sadly, there are some black women in these streets that thoroughly believe that too. There are some people in these streets that wag their heads from outside of our race that nonetheless can do nothing. Because if their women aren't complaining, what is in it for us to support them anyway? The reason why the angry black woman is angry is because no one is comforting us. No one cares to have our back. Why? Because chances are that very same angry black woman brought on her own pain. Like she hurt herself. People are not crying for us because we, as black women, are not crying for us. We aren't. Because there are literally batches among us at different times in our lives because we're hypocrites. We are hypocrites. At different spots in our lives as black women, we have been hypocritical in one shape, form, or another. We have been intensely hypocritical. Like I said with that train car analogy, the younger women feel all blessed to be not so bitter as the older ones, and because it is a woman's curse to desire her husband no matter what, when then all these men are gravitating towards them and then looking at us like we're bitter broads. They can even start entire YouTube channels speaking about how it is that older black women, please stop speaking about how it is that all black men are trash, blah, blah, etc. They're not all wicked. They're not all nasty. And while I can agree that that is true, bottom line is the ones who aren't nasty are just gravitating towards you. They don't care to have the cause of the women who were made bitter later. They don't care about it, but the end result is going to be such a Medusa complex in black women. Like this angry black women vibrancy just doing its rounds, unfettered, that just for the sake of avoiding ending up afflicted so horribly, there will be a decision made deliberately by black women to just stop being with black men. Like she could be in love or she could have a big crush on a man that initially starts out pursuing her and whatnot, but just the trauma that she has endured historically of a dude starting out alright and then going crazy awry later on, it's going to make it be like, okay, fine, Tepiso, you're cute and you're charming, you're smart, you're intelligent, and you seem like a total gentleman. But my experiences with men with your skin color is that somewhere along the way, after 5 months, after 6 months, after a year or two, Lomuntu not only is he gonna jigela me, but when I'm crying, he won't care. And then he will bring inyatsi, umakwapeni or something, and the two of them will have no respect for Indaba yokuthi bangizusubhlungu. He will not care that I've borne him children. He will not care that I have what is this? I helped him on the come up. Sofa slahlane, raro die. I was behind him. I was the wind beneath his wings. Nobody is even trying to pay attention to the fact that a woman was the support structure of a man in the beginning. Because there's like just a lack of appreciation. Like, what is this thing? Danki yamutomunsu, danki. We even have a term for it. It's called danki yamutomunsu. Danki means thank you. Mutomunsu is black person. And the thank you of a black person. We call it itanki yomuntomunsu, where it is that we are basically dealing right now with a thankless individual that you will have had the back of ride or die, that then later on treated you like trash. My ex-boyfriend did that. When I met him, he was just this no-brainer fluffball that I even taught how to drive. There was some woman that was like a gold digger all up in my grill that was around before even I came. But she didn't want him because he didn't have money. He was just a call center agent and it wasn't enough. She was the bane of my existence in our relationship. Every so often, got there in July, close to the Durban July, she would call him just to go and buy a fascinator hat. I'm going to pay 1,300. And I'm like, Mara, you've got a girlfriend that you don't even dare chilla. And you busy out here trying to do an EFT for some chick that rejected you back in the day. We nearly broke up over that chick until eventually my ex rather chose me over her and severed ties with that like random exploitative woman. We break up. Years down the line, he goes and marries that same girl. I don't care, do you? But for me, it was the gloating that he smeared in my face, showing this woman almost as if though like I was always a placeholder, for her. The harassment of my person by both him and this woman was just astronomical. Do you know what I'm saying? The witchcraft from both of them was just astronomical. This woman of which would never have been with him back when he didn't have a car, back when he couldn't even drive, never mind have a car, back when he was working in the call center, and the small little maranza that he was making, she was actually asking to buy a fascinator hat from him with that money. Back when I was there, being the wind beneath his wings, helping him rise up until ultimately he became successful. She was nowhere to be found. Ghost in the shadows. Do you understand? And then after we break up, the same guy treats me like I was a placeholder for a woman that was now gloating that she got the refined version of him. She got the version of him that was already strong, a driver, and a little business, a little good. I did not break up with that guy, or neither did he leave me for that woman. I did not break up with him because of that woman. We broke up because he was becoming a jerk once he started to make money. And on top of that, I was a born-again Christian and he wasn't interested in my God. But the way they both gloated over me was ridiculous. I am grateful to God still to this day, like no man's business, that I didn't end up married to that guy. Because women like that, who ignore men when they have nothing, would have basically, caused my husband, who would have been that guy, to ukunginyanza, the one that was there, like Pina Elea, Mary J. Blige. I was your lover and your secretary, working every day of the week. Was at the job when no one else was there, helping you get on your feet. 11 years of sacrifice. Without the kids, I'd have nothing to show. Wasted my years, a fool of a wife. I should have left you behind 1,000 times. No, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry no more. Yeah, Angela Bassett in Waiting to Exhale was the woman in question where that was being shown. And of course, that could only be a movie describing a black woman's plight with a black man. Ride or die, like no man's business. Only for this dude to turn around and grab some nyatsi that's annoying. Do you understand? That's going to be gloating over you when this man treats you like trash now that you're a middle-aged woman that has given him 4 kids. Yeah, other women that help men along in this agenda. And because these men are constantly congratulated and heralded instead of frowned upon by all women in the streets, they can do no wrong. They are then reinforced in this wickedness of theirs, feeling like all they do is win-win-win, no matter what. My ex-boyfriend has no incentive to change or do anything different or acknowledge at least that he did me dirty. At least at a minimum. Admit, I wronged Karabo. I was such a fool. At least get to that point so I can be satiated in my gulf in the heart of heartbreak. Yeah, in this thing that is an indignation that I feel. Instead of satiating my indignation by at least walking in an apologetic stance, instead he feels entitled to my destruction. Right next to his wife. Lama tota anjalo. Like that, you see, it's problematic. And such scenes, like in the movie, Waiting to Exhale with Angela Bassett being that character, where Mary J. Blige, the song that basically sings the plight of such women, was in singing about Angela Bassett in particular in Waiting to Exhale, and her character, we know, was of a woman who was there for a man, ride or die, and when he made money, he just acted a fool and chose another woman. Yet another story in Diary of a Mad Black Woman. It's always just black movies. It's always just black women. And they are speaking of real life tales in the black community of this kind of indiscretion where a woman is ride or die there when a guy has nothing, literally zero hollow note and ash, and she helps him rise, and then another black woman rocks up and gloats in taking the now millionaire husband away from her while this guy has no respect or regard for tabang mototle botoko and this person is hurt, and on top of that is the baby mama. They are apathetic and are so cruel in the way they treat the ex-wives or the women that they are now trying to force to embrace whatever it is that woman calls it on TikTok, to just embrace and just feel like being either and to having been the first wife, and now he's bringing like a second woman into the picture, and you must just take it in your stride. The fact that black women have no respect, some of them, for the pain man or by that kind of woman is for me the biggest reason why. It's every man for himself, Lana. If you as a black woman don't protect yourself from the cocoon manufacturing some menace of a monster of a man later on, if you don't individually uniquely protect yourself, you're done for. Like proper, it's you gotta wear your own little bomb shelter, your own little fire shelter. I was watching, actually God gave it to me just now as a vision, Fire Country. There was a show on Netflix called Fire Country that I watched once, right? Good old fashioned old school American television, but it's not old school, it's new school, but it doesn't have all these new school influencers as Ibolile all over the show that you will find in the entertainment industry, right? That they're trying to proliferate in the US. In Fire Country, one of the first few episodes, well, actually there is one like little ugly agenda recommended there, but anyway, I scrolled right past it. The gay lesbian agenda, wada. Moving on, let's get to the point. There is an episode in Fire Country where Jake is rescued, right? The black guy, he's rescued from basically near death. There are a bunch of firefighters, these people. He is rescued from essentially death by what is called a what do they call it? I think they call it a fire shelter or angazi, something. But basically some suit where it is that a burning forest. If at all there is nothing you can do to escape a fire because it's just catching up too quickly. They then get under this thing and basically ride it out all the way up until the fire subsides. All the way up until rescue comes. They ride it out until the fire has gone for hours, however long it takes. You're in this little fire shelter. Do you understand? That's made, I believe, of maybe like some material that's inflammable, like asbestos, angazi. And you can stay there for like 4 hours, 5, 6, 7, maybe even 24 hours with the fire around you just burning and burning and burning and burning until it finally simmers down. Then only can you get out and escape. If you open it even slightly, you're done for. You're gonna get consumed by the flames. And Jake got protected by Bodhi, who took his fire shelter and put him and Jake in it, and they stayed in there for several hours. And the fire came and went, and the two of them were unscathed. Sometimes as black women, I sometimes feel, I just get to a point where I'm like, unless you make like Jake and Bodhi in an incendiary ecosystem where a fire is just spreading and there's no stopping it, it's a wildfire, it's just spreading, and you are inevitably gonna get consumed. You can't rescue everybody. You can't. You can't say, guys, run, because you like proper. But you can grab your own little fire shelter, which is what I'm doing right now. Because I have one. I'm a firefighter, right? And you can take just one other person with you. We kurumes. I am getting nowhere with my ministry. Do you understand? Because these black men have sat on my chest, bang batlak ankani, with korobela. They want me by force. Because all they do is win, no matter what. And black women don't have each other's backs, but I care enough for our women, and I also care enough even about some of these men, these black men, to try and reach whoever might listen to me for sense among them, telling them Muti, there is an inferno spreading in the black community and it's gonna eat everybody whole. When we were first crying out on a mountaintop saying that there is a fire impending, people did not evacuate. Just like that song, Ya Asha, I like to sing it. There is fire on the mountain, and nobody seems to be on the run. Oh, there is fire on the mountaintop, and no one is running. Yeah, I've been singing on a mountaintop for a whole decade, saying there's a fire, when there was enough time for people to evacuate with leisure. As in, pack all your bags and move all your furniture. The way the fire was so far away. Take as much of paraphernalia, memorabilia and paraphernalia of good use in the future as you can. Fill up as many vessels with water. Fill up as many vessels with food. And take, like I said, even some of your furniture. And got to your like moving home with a furniture truck. And then get in there and drive away. And even though it'll hurt that your house is burned, at least you got to salvage all your furniture, all the food in the refrigerator, and all of your family are alive. I was on a rooftop screaming, sirening an alarm when there was still that much time. There was that much time before the fire could get out of hand. And everybody ignored me. There is fire on the mountain, and nobody seems to be on the run. Fire on the mountaintop, and no one is running. There is this guy, black man, that I used to think was my future husband from MT, and had massive feelings for that guy. When I found out that he was married, and I was alone and isolated, not only did he worsen my isolation and my loneliness, even though he went and took another wife, he also, because I was lonely, because I was out of it, and because I was living by myself, and because I had been ostracized from family, he literally invested, I don't know how many bullets he shot into my life, in so much death curses, in so many death spells. He tried to kill me. Why? Because of rapacity. He had a wife, he had a crush on me, he had feelings, but I was apparently not in his league because I lost everything. So he could not continue to pursue what he was trying to pursue with me. And so for those reasons, due to the fact that he had feelings for a woman that he imagined now was beneath him, it would then be painful for him if I were to get married to someone else, since he still had feelings for me. So he told himself that since all I do is win, no matter what, here it is that I chose a wife. I chose someone other than Karabo. Instead of just leaving her alone to go and fly into the sunset with another man, given that I have feelings for her, he made a decision that I gotta die because he can't be with me. I mean, when someone can so easily graduate to murder, what is going on over there? I warned at that time. I had just lost my job at MTN. It was 2015. It was 2015. I found out only a year later that this guy got married. So they say 2016 because he married in December. So it was like 2016. I lost my job in 2014. A year afterwards, I find out that he is married. I mourn, okay? I cry because it is what it is. Move on. And then he decides, after I find out, that for no other reason than the fact that he still has feelings for me. For no other reason than the fact that he still has a crush on me. I had to die. No other reason. So he didn't want to share me with anybody else. How many of y'all, show of hands, really, out here in these streets, have had feelings for 2 or 3 people all at the same time? Like, be fancying 2 guys in the office. Both of them give you butterflies. Yeah, well, you can't have them both, right? Let the best man win. Whoever pursues you with the most prosperity, that is who you are with. Because that's how regular, normal human beings ought function. Realize that, yes, it's possible for me to like 2 guys at the same time, but I gotta choose one. When, however, a person develops such a menacing psychosis that they will say that I like 2 guys, and if I can't have them both, one must die that I am not with. So I don't ever have to watch them be with another person. On that day, you are a psychopath. You're a psychopath. Yeah, this dude was toggling with feelings for 2 women, and the one that he couldn't be with or he didn't want to be with, he decided that she had to die. I had to make war wrestle with suicide curses from here to Timbuktu. Stay alive. In the name of Jesus, cast out all that trashy, dark, satanically influenced suicide ideation. In the midst of already very depressing events around me, I was encircled by sorrow because I had no one, I had lost my job, and I was not getting a new one any minute now. I already had depressing enough situations that could cause anybody to want to jump over the edge, and then this guy sent me extra demons to just push me over. I was supposed to commit suicide because I found out that the man that I'm in love with is married to another woman. He so bombarded me with death spells that I had to take a walk out of my complex just to escape the demons that were inside my unit where I was staying. That's how much that guy fuels the environment. Got demons that were whispering in my ear, Ipolaye. Because I have to go now and commit suicide over a man that married another woman. Is that not idolatry over a man? Is that not exalting a man above God? Like proper, my feelings are pained and they're strong for him, but certainly not more lofty than my feelings for Jesus Christ. I chose a man too. Was in love with 2. I loved Jesus and I loved this guy. I let him go because it evidenced that me staying to love him didn't make sense, and I chose God. I was sober, I was rational, but he wasn't. And it was my God that rescued me from a homicidal maniac that wanted me dead because he couldn't be with me. He wanted me dead because he rejected me. He's the one that despised the prospect of being with a woman that is unemployed and went and took someone that he felt was a far better fit for him, given that he was a classist man. And he couldn't leave me to go out there in the wilderness and do my own thing. I had to, I told you this stuff graduates from pillar to post, right? I started out in denial, in denial moved on to acceptance. Upon accepting, I then realized I need to start moving on, and I prayed to God for healing. This guy throughout the entire time was slapping me with death spells, trying to force me to keep Bolaya. And it was his persistence that I should pass away that caused me to go from, okay, he's married, I'm moving on, dude, leave me alone, to Ishwa. I got so angry that I literally was pleading with the Lord to kill him because he was bombarding me, lambasting me nightly and daily with so much demonic abuse, very death spell that I couldn't deal. Guess how I finally shook that guy? I left my ministry altogether. I went underground for 2 years. 2 to 3 years. I was busy recording content but not uploading it online. I had to disappear off social media, and for this guy to think maybe I did commit suicide, for him to finally start doing curses on me. The first few months, maybe the first 4 months of my disappearance underground, he was still busy. Death spells. Kill it gone. Basically like shooting a body, that already died on your second bullet. Mara, just to make sure you just keep shooting. That guy kept shooting at me. Kill it gone, with him thinking I had passed away. With him thinking I had committed suicide, he still kept on doing death rituals on me. He was a self-practicing occultist. So he didn't need to visit a sangoma to ask for a death spell. He did these rituals himself. So it came free, it came cheap, easy to him. After 4 months. And even then, as the years progressed with me being gone from the sight of social media, he kept doing the spells to check if I'm still alive. And these spells would confirm that I'm alive, but this time he stopped trying to kill me. He was just content that I was passing away, perishing, having disappeared in Jefela, killing nothing. To him, that was okay, because what he didn't want to have to experience was watching me be in love with another man. So if I just disappear, out of sight, out of mind, and also if I'm poor, just like him, other shallow men are gonna pass me up. That's what this dude did. It would take COVID-19 and my mom getting Wi-Fi to come back to social media. Yeah, the pandemic caused people to sit around at home, working from home, right? Such that my mom now needed Wi-Fi to do her job. And my younger sister recommended that she get Wi-Fi as well so that she does not keep on chowing her data. And so when then I had internet, it took me like maybe 4, 5 or 6 months when we had internet access for me to finally have the bravery to return to social media. Yeah, I returned because I realized maybe I should just try and see if I can monetize on YouTube online streams of income. So I came back. And unfortunately for me, upon being back, newly back, I found myself another menacing psychopath. I came back 2 years ago. And another psychopath from America, similar to the guy from South Africa. Yeah, I like one shela, namkoma. For 2 seconds we dated. Afterwards, I have still to this day, sitting in front of you, I am dealing with a lifetime stalker that keeps on burning some sick candle. The dude in America, I broke up with him, he wants me dead. Because yet again, no one is going to have you if not me. Both of these men, but I need the bathroom. What's up? I'm back. Yeah, I'm relieved. Not that anybody needed to know that. Okay, yeah, I told you about that guy, Wago MTN, that I used to think was my husband, who tried to kill me. I have now amassed for myself another stalker, and he's not the only one. Both men are black. This is an epidemic in the black community. Like, these guys get so spoiled with women or female affection, in spite of what they do, that as time progresses, they become exquisitely menacing. I mentioned earlier that nobody, encounters a God and does not change. So therefore, if you meet with the devil, you will over time become crazy. Spoke about how young black boys are not as menacing towards women as older black men. And the reason why this is the case is because there is a devil in the black community. There is a God, there are gods, the gods of the blacks, the gods of black people, the gods of Africans. Hate women. They're misogynistic. They have introduced practices, and the stealth of sin that they've brought in particular is witchcraft, fornication, adultery, and heresies, perhaps even murder. Which is why our blood is spilled and our fiber is massacred as easily as it is as black women, and it's been like that for ages. And so for those reasons, there is an inclination inside even black women to just take it, because apparently it is what it is. It's a grain. That's why a lot of black women say, if you want to stay alive, don't resist. The path of least resistance. But it is killing daughters. This complacency on the part even of black men is creating hostility in black women to a point where they can't even be good mothers, good friends, good tutors, mentors to other women on the come up. When you have not been loved, you will envy whoever is loved. When you have been hated and disregarded, when your tears have been ignored for long enough, you will covet the one who is still being told, there, don't cry. The one whose tears are being wiped away. And black girls are still having their tears wiped. Girls, the younger ones, they're still having their tears wiped by black men, black boys, who have yet to transform into these monsters. But the gods of the blacks inspire these kinds of sins into black people. And so for those reasons, inevitably seeing as that's the God that they have encountered, he will change them in this regard over time and create the angry black woman and the young black woman that thinks that she is exempt and shielded and immune to the eventuality of the angry black woman until she becomes her. It's a cycle. The two black men I have described right now, the first one was a typical hot boy, basically the kind of man that women throw themselves at, the kind of man that, because so many women want him, every woman is trying to literally fight for his position, even though his character leaves a lot to be desired. Like, he is not a good guy, like even in the slightest. But so many women want him that they are willing to ignore glaring character flaws in him to be with him enough to fight each other for him. That's a man that doesn't have to be good to get what he wants. So all he does is win, no matter what, until he meets a Christian woman that has standards, that says, okay, you're really good looking, but I can't because you're ungodly. I can't because you're into witchcraft. I can't because you have not refined your character. And when then he meets with this, I can't, he's like, no one says no to me. And so he just kills at a whim. He kills when something rejects him. He kills, and when this thing resists, he buries it underground, putting chains, fetters on a woman's body to make sure she goes nowhere. The resentment in my heart that has lent me over to the disposition of the nature of the women in Cell Block Tango has been sparked by this. It's not that pesky, insistent men have not always been around. They have. But it was only from a certain point, because when you encounter a god, you become it. It was only from a certain point where pesky black men who pursue you after you've said no, and they just keep trying and trying. When they then graduate over to witchcraft to get what they want. When they start to use korobela, he asks you out, you don't say yes, and then he moves over to love juju. When that love juju doesn't work, he then goes on to use another version of love juju. Goes to a high priestess this time around because apparently a local sangoma's not good enough. And when then you reject him even at that juncture, that's when he's like, oh, okay. Swears at you with all different kinds of expletives. Ambiofa. They get to a point of hamba uyofa. They get to a point of go die then. Because you rejected me. I keep highlighting these guys, these kinds of men, time and time again. And when a woman has been dealt a bad blow by a series of men like this, she gets to a point of so much bitterness within that she is distasteful to the taste buds of other men that aren't so wicked. But you see, men, like I said, the other guys that aren't this wicked, they don't want an angry black woman. They don't want a pained woman. A woman that is scorned, that's going to be scared of everything at every corner. A woman that's paranoid about every new man that walks up. So they then just, instead of doing something about the fact that we have been made like this by these kinds of guys, and they're teeming at the folds, brimming over in the black community, instead of dealing with the root cause, they then just abandon us. The abandoned black woman is a thing, in favor of young women who are yet to be devastated by these guys. Barisi and a fella to fall over a cliff and be bashed against walls to our demise, not even realizing that women at the very back of these train cars are also headed for the same demise. The young women that now today are not yet as scorned, which I once was, will inevitably become these ladies. And with this trend being more readily observable, not even underneath a microscope, but in broad daylight with a naked eye, over time, with it glaring, with it starting to produce the kinds of fruit that it has produced in South Africa, like gender-based violence, black women are then going to start making an active decision from as young as 18, 16, 15, that, nah, I don't want to be with a black guy. I am not dating black boys. I'm not doing it. Like, the gender-based violence in this country it didn't just rock up just 2, 3, 5 years ago. However, with the stats being highlighted on a rooftop around that time, like, the gender-based violence in this nation is largely black. Please let us just put that out there. Yes, there are white women that die at the hands of white men, like Rieva Steenkamp, but the grand majority, and I would go so far as to say something like 80% of them that perish at the hands of men are black. The majority of women that die at the hands of men are black. Like I said, you know, with white supremacy, I used the example with racism earlier, how it is that, yeah, it can be triggering and it can cause you to avoid all white people, but in my particular life, it's not triggering racism, even though I have experienced it, because I have not back to back in increasing measure with a frequency that is exponential, inclining up that kind of a steep curve, just perpetually recurring. It has not been a bane of my existence, a thorn in my flesh for all my life. It's been sparsely scattered, found few and far between. Incidents negligible, not worthy of writing a whole thick textbook over. So therefore, I am not guarded around white people. I don't find them freaky. Why? Because that's just the way that humanity is. You win some, you lose some. Just because you have endured road rage from 3 people across a year, from 3 people across 2 years, does not mean now you're going to be scared to drive. But if every day when you go out on the road, somebody's out there trying to run you off the curve, somebody's always trying to, dead brake in front of you so you can hit them at the back, somebody is always pulling out a gun and knife, somebody is always just doing something, you are going to be scared to get in your car. You are going to choose rather to use a taxi, a bus, if you endure road rage every day. So, like I said with white supremacy, as an example, indeed, I've endured pain from other factors in society, like racism, other things that can upset a person. I've had them come at me. It's normal. God has given us an inbuilt shock absorber to take indiscretion from people, do you understand, over and over again and just keep recovering. Because it's preserving of the human soul to recover from pains, because there's a lot of them. It's written in the book of Ecclesiastes that man is made for adversity. So we're going to endure adverse events in life. But that which causes a PTSD is just a repeat occurrence. It's a daily thing or a fortnightly thing. Something that is just too cyclical. Every single certain time of year, it's just happening. The repeat offenses of traumatizing events is what causes a hatred, and a deep-seated one in people. It is what causes just an extreme guardedness that others would say when you are met with that particular issue, upon reacting to it, be like, Karabo, you are overreacting. Yeah, no, Karabo is overreacting if she's only ever been slapped once in her 40 years of life as a woman. But Karabo's not overreacting when 4 out of her 10 ex-boyfriends were into punching her, like beating her to a pulp, one of them putting her in a coma for 4 weeks. On that day when she is guarded against men that pursue her in the future, she is rightly placed in that position. When a dude speaks to you some kind of way or raises his voice on some Karabo and you jump, some might be like, whoa, Karabo, a dude is just calling your name. But when every time you hear your name being called by a male voice, it's because they are trying to prepare to rape you. Yeah, well, on that day, you're gonna jump at every Karabo that comes from a male. And well, for me, racism is not my main trigger because it's happened, but I mean really, what hasn't? Road rage has happened. What hasn't? I've been lied to. What's happened? I've been cheated on. What's happened? Etc. But like the thing that has just happened on a loop, over and over and over and over again, to a point where I feel like I got shwa. It's gender-based violence. It's insistent, pesky men who want to kill you when you don't want to be with them. And when I returned to social media, yeah, it's just reared its ugly head again in the form of this nasty from America and many others afterwards. As I grew in subscriber numbers, as I grew in how many people are watching my videos, I then amassed for myself like Velcro, more of them. They stuck to me like blackjacks on wool, even though I didn't want them. They insisted that I'm going to take them no matter what. A whole bunch of black men, a plethora of them, literally standing outside of the life of one woman, vying for her, to a point of where it is that now today, I can only speak to one person. 3, 4, because one of these menacing psychopaths has paid someone at YouTube, at social media platforms. He is so powerful that he has said, Karabo, you will go nowhere until you take me. Yeah, the guy from America is a no-brainer deadbeat that cannot afford to pay the kind of premium that would be required to block me like this on social media, so he's not responsible. It's another one of these menaces. And it's a black man. It's a black man. I have endured my fair share of nonsense from all men across different races, with different nuances that they wear. I've only ever been with black men, however, but never in my life have I ever been so horrifically treated by men because I don't want to be with them. When I was in grade 8, there were these 3 Indian boys in my class that kept on sending me these stupid, ugly, licentious letters, talking about how they like my lips, they think my cheeks are pretty. Meet me at the flagpole so we can smooch, so we can French kiss, and I found them so perverted. I never, however, looked at Indian men like these perverted, raunchy, disgusting nasties that are just irrecoverable from any level of sense going forward, because there were 3 isolated events in these little hormonal teenage boys who thought that they could just do that with some black girl in the class. I never looked at Indian men like perverts afterwards because of those isolated events, because it never happened again, literally. It never happened, well, except for the one time I went to Durban. Yeah, they can be gangster there, but I don't live in Durban. I live in Johannesburg. So largely, the Indian dudes out here in these streets, but normal. But I had some 3 perverts in my class in grade 8 in Sir John Adamson that kept on sending me sexy letters that I found disgusting. But I didn't write all Indians off because of that. Because like I said, isolated incidents. But when it keeps happening in grade 8, if it kept happening in grade 8, and then again grade 9, and then in grade 10, then maybe get accosted in a corner and stroked with one climbing up my skirt as I'm walking, and then in grade 11, yet another one out to tell me they want to lick my face. Then in matric, have one corner me and try to rape me, and then in first year varsity, have one, yeah, if it had happened like that, then I would out to come on social media on some basically look out for Indian men, they're gross. But instead, I'm like, I had some 3 little gross Indian boys give me grief when I was in grade 8. And that is an experience I'm willing to tell and share laughing at it as a 40-year-old woman because it was isolated. I don't have trauma. I just look at it creasing my forehead on the audacity of those randos. Now, however, with black men, I'm merely looking at a guy, and I'm like, his audacity. I'm looking at a plethora of them that slapped me with korobela, and I'm like, I'm sorry, die. It is a trigger. Do you understand? The guy from America, he was married 2 times. 2 women that he both slapped silly. And in his stories, he would explain how it is, even though he called himself a Christian, how he would gather 4 or 5 women around him that all were vying for his attention, cheat on them each with them knowing that that's what's going on, and they would fight with each other, that he would get away with all that murder, and he was proud of it. He was communicating that story almost like he was proud that he was such a hot boy on the come up. That's a man that claims to have been born again at the age of 15, and when he was doing these things, he was a man in his 20s and 30s. And then he wanted to rock up and marry me. Guess what broke us up? He was rude, he was manifesting demons, and he ghosted me. Following which he went to go and test for HIV, it came back positive. And the only reason why he tested positive for HIV was because after coming out of prison, because that's the thing, despite being a Christian, he kept on being in and out of jail for drug possession, weird little stuff of that nature. I can tell you what in the world under heaven were the plethora of things that he was being accused for, but he was in and out of jail. And I thought he was a reformed Christian. Like, you know when a woman is going through so much pain that you take a whole bunch of rubbish in your stride, including dating an ex-con? Yeah, that was what I was doing. I thought that he was recovered by Jesus, and so really, don't judge. We visit people in jail. Even in the Bible it is written that when I was in prison and sick, you visited me. So I would never judge a man for having been in prison before, insofar as he's been transformed by God. That's why I accommodated that dude. But I was not thinking straight, right? I found out about his 2 ex-wives and all that jazz he told me, and yet, because I was in sorrow, I was ignoring deliberately the Bible. I was not rescued from that guy, or because of my own recognition that, don't be here. He was rude. He was the one that manifested rude. He was rude. And he tested positive for HIV because after coming out of prison, despite the fact that he called himself a Christian, he still could not stop just having sex with any random lady that's actually offering it to him. And then he went and laid with one that threw himself at him on a New Year's Eve party without using protection, and then contracted the virus. He contracted HIV because he slept with a woman in the frenzy of New Year's Eve. And he didn't use protection. And 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the line, he meets Karabo. And then Karabo was like, I can't, like, Papa, do you have a clean bill of health? He then tests, comes back negative, and treats me like trash not negative, but positive, then treats me like trash as a result. He came to a point where he accepted that I won't be with him because of his virus and a plethora of other things. Because I want to be a mother. I don't want to adopt children, and I also don't want to be on PrEP for the rest of my days. It's my choice. I get to have it. I don't want to be with a guy with HIV because I want sexual freedom. Plus, I stay celibate for 13 years. I get to insist that my man have a clean bill of health. I get to. It's like literally what I get to get, given that I've been celibate all this time. But this dude went from accepting that I can't, really, like, I didn't expect to be HIV positive to sitting around festering, stewing on his feelings so strongly for me that he was like, I'm taking it. She's mine. I want her. Lingered outside of my ministry, watched my content, all that jazz, and then slapped me with so much condom-wearing witchcraft, so much PrEP-taking witchcraft, so much, let's study HIV, you don't have to get it if I'm positive witchcraft. Slapped me with so much, take it, at least I'm not going to give it to you. We can, there are measures that can be put in place to ascertain that you don't contract it. And on top of that, you're mine. When I wouldn't capitulate because I was resisting, he then did a spell on me to age me overnight. It didn't work. After that, he then tried to bring me back again. It didn't work. He then got to a point where he was like, I'm your fuckarabo. And he's yet another one, just like the one from MTN. Over and over and over and over again. And that's his main death spell ritual. He does voodoo. He's a little witch, so he's not really a child of God. Yeah, and his main ritual is one where he burns a candle. I keep seeing that candle every time he lights it. I dream about it. Every time he lights a candle, there's a candle I chisang in his voodoo rituals. And the color that I get in my dreams a lot of times is yellow, but the other day I saw a white candle. So it turns out that the color is irrelevant. He keeps burning this candle, and apparently by the time this candle is done burning, I'm supposed to be dead. I don't know how many times this guy has burned these candles. I have lived each time, but it does not stop him from trying anyway. Over and over and over again, the death spell, just like the guy from MTN. Constantly slapping me with witchcraft curses. That's suicide. Because I can't be his girl. his side piece, his nyatsi, his makwapeni. So this guy is in America. The dude from MTN is a South African, but they're all black, evidencing I get our roots are here, aren't they? I'm sorry that my shades are falling off. Y'all know it's a filter. Yeah, I spoke earlier that in Africa we got gods. Everywhere across the world they got gods. Every culture got gods. Every culture got gods. And in Africa, our gods hate women. They're polygamous and they are misogynistic in the worst way. And they tell women, you will take what I say take no matter what. Satan knows the plethora of sins that a human being can walk in. And he knows how to send people to hell. He doesn't care how he does it. So he gives different cultures different moral vices. And in Africa, he gave us this for a vice. This is our generational curse. This thing of protecting men when they're supposed to be protecting us. This thing of Oedipus, little baby boys that are being raised by women. This thing of women protecting evil in men and women being complacent and docile and so wanting to be loved that they will take anything and even basically massacre the humanity of another woman just so you can get a boyfriend, just so you can have someone to love you, just so you can get a ring on your finger. You will fight umamazala, you will fight abosisi, aboskoni, you will fight body cousin, abomzala, you will fight your best friend. You will fight all the women in the office. You will fight abogogo. You will fight all the women in your family just to protect some silly filthy guy. You will protect Inja. The level of protection that black men get from women and also other men it's ridiculous. Like I said, all they do is win, win, win no matter what. And until there's nothing they can do wrong. To a point where women will fight each other for this little buffoon. Let dombolo. You will fight for it. You will fight all of Lompagati to protect Itombolo eningena virtue. Elsinang virtue. Even they have no incentive to do better. It is a form of operant conditioning, positive reinforcement of bad behavior. But instead of it being behavior, sometimes it's just omission to act, omission to protect, omission to serve, to care, omission to be a man is still rewarded in the black community, so they don't feel a need to actually develop beyond that place. That's why so many black men get shocked when their boys kill women. They don't see it coming, but like it was brewing and stewing for a while. Because indota that is that entitled, ozo sevwa or protectiwa, even when they are totally wrong. Okay, my ex-boyfriend is an example of that nature. Not only did that random gaslighting buffoon bewitch the living daylights out of my life, but when we were dating, he used to steal money from me. He was into drugs. He did all different kinds of things. When I came into his life, it was agreed by generally all the women in his life when things were good, when I was still approving of him. They all came into concert agreement that I was good for him because, oh, look at our son, he's becoming so much better. Yeah, but then we broke up and it was all ugly and nasty, and he then was actually lamenting that I'm nasty, right? Despite the fact that I'm the woman that shaped him up from what under heaven was a menacing little pipsqueak that he was. Despite all the work that I put in, including my own family members, they stood with a man who I had a dossier of evidence against. They stood with him at my mercy, at my expense. Even my members of my own family, my male friends, I spoke about that in one of my other videos, also were like, no, Marakarabo, take him back. I'm like, dude, did you listen to my stories as I'm busy testifying in this proverbial court, and you want me to get back together with him? For real, you're my friend and not his. Why you stand with him? My mom, and my mom was like, no, what is going on? His family members knowing very well what I meant for this man took his side. And what's worse, because I was such a good influence for him, his female family members, before things got to a point where it was clear I was not coming back, bewitched me to take him back. One of his female cousins and his mom who get her back together. A man that I had to leave because nahlanya azangwa vikelwa kakhulu nawe. Protect, but he got so protected by women around him, and of course guys always had each other's backs, such that I was out here by myself singing like a canary on a rooftop saying, this here is problematic and abusive towards me. The same guy, look at me, I'm 40 years old. Ever since we broke up, I haven't been with anybody, at least not reliably or reasonably or meaningfully. He's the last relationship that I was in that made any sense at all. Now, I can't catch a break. I've never been married. It's clear that he literally wiped the streets in front of me of all human comfort. It's clear that he did something. God, by the way, I saw protect on Kona and Namhlanje. I had a dream months ago of his sister doing witchcraft to block me from ever being heard, to protect her brother from the reputational damage that would come as a result of my testimony. Abafazi by MCs, the same guy of which, because he learned to be served and protected by everyone, including my family, yeah, that's what's good, then decided that, since nobody cares about her, she also needs to die. It took a lot longer for him to decide to do a death spell on me, but he did one. No, one, two. He did 2 death spells on me. Just keep on trying and trying to cause a woman to commit suicide because, Suga, I can't be with you, no one else can be. He tried to do a mistress spell on me. In other words, you'll take me after all that reviling of my person to his family. I was around first. I was there first. He married a woman that used to be the bane of my existence. Alright? I was there first. That's what I'm getting at. A woman that was a side piece, a woman that was irritating me, he went and married her, fine. Do you get to do whatever, because me at the end of the day, you'll be happy, so I can go and be happy. We broke up. I have no business, interrupting your marriage. No, pastor, they can't get married or forever hold my peace. I'm not that girl. I'm not going to go and interrupt it. Do you be happy, but leave me to go and be happy too. No, that's bye. The 2 of them made me a popeye. And then he tried to listen to this omedi, and hunale side piece nyana eslege e go borang. Ebe the guy along yala side piece ya teng. Tsamaya along yala umtho batlang nyala abuti, it's your prerogative. Mar, monna tenga ba zama go khutla years later and make you a mistress to the woman that was his side piece when you were dating Dal. That kind of entitlement. I don't know how many times this ex-boyfriend of mine did witchcraft too because he missed me. That's the thing about marrying a gold digger. Anisho, akazoba reliable. He missed my ride or die nature. Nami Mengu, I was your lover and your secretary, working every day of the week type thing. I was ride or die. And then some other woman came and then enjoyed the fruit of my labor in a man. I didn't care. I didn't care because at the end of the day, I'm going to go move on to the sunset and do my own thing. I was only grateful that I didn't marry him, right? I was still young. I was like 26, 27 when we broke up. So I was going to go get my own husband. So even if, I might have put in a whole bunch of work and panel beating a man to shape, I'm not bitter. I made a man a better man because I'm still going to go out there and get my own husband. But instead, this guy kept me single. I'm 40 years now to this day. Me and I, anything, no children, no husband. And then all throughout this time that I've been single, because he made me notice of the fact that on me, or at least he thinks he's I'm gonna get to a conclusion speaking about how it is that God, this was all planned by him. He then was like, anyway, so I miss her. And even though even though I spoke smack about her to the people from my family, I want her as my mistress. My ex literally did spells to try and make me his mistress. And the person that I would have been an irritant of a mistress to is the woman onang borane rjola. Onanta fodela monna ka busiu re robetse. That was who I was now going to be the bane of the existence of. So basically tables turning. She's the wife and I'm the irritating, home-wrecking, random, gargantuan, nasty over no-brainer, filthy side piece. That's what was attempted. I mean, when a man tries to achieve that, guys, where's alangmo? What's going on? These are people who all they do is win no matter what. You win. Because the mom is still gonna call you mkwanyana. Go and steal Karabo's money. You still win because the mom is still gonna call you son-in-law. Take drugs, massacre, cheat, do what you want, drag your feet, basically really suck as a boyfriend, and his whole family will still call you Makoti until you are so angry that they then will take his side and say, of course our son can't do anything of that nature, even though Karabo was the ride or die that built your son, taught him how to drive, helped him basically elevate to certain heights. All that hard work that you put in as a woman, ignore because a guy's side is being taken. All that gets ignored because a man's side is out here with no discretion at all being taken by every female in the streets. Every woman in the room is busy taking the side of Autie Etsiriane. Yeah, I mean, these men get to that point because all they do is win no matter what. They get entitled because their God-ordained functionality is completely erased and ignored. They're supposed to be protecting women and children, but women and children are protecting them. Mothers are protecting them. Daughters are protecting them. Wives are protecting them. Police, everything is, and not police, sorry, what I wanted to say is anything that can protect the black man is protecting the black man. Black Lives Matter is protecting black men, but not black women. It's just all about black men. So, I mean, really, when are they ever going to see an incentive or a need to actually build character? Real character, that they might earn a good thing, a good wife, that they might earn umfazi osithobile oikokobelitseng, mosadi o leng submissive. Another batlo mo enaneng when they feel entitled to her. And if then these men have felt entitled across a decade, 2 decades, 3, and then they meet a woman that's like, yeah, that's when they start to plapa then. That's when they start to hobulaya. That's when they start to bring out umamlambo wambo and do a satanic ritual to block umfazi on all sides, preventing them from working ever again, preventing them from monetizing a YouTube channel. That's when they start to pay people at YouTube to freeze a channel so it can't grow. Therefore, this here fire blanket that I have over my body is to try and snatch 1 or 2 of these mamlambo carrying men out from the flames, to show them the folly of their ways, because I know I can't reach all of them. Also, it is to try and snatch 1 or 2 women, because bafazi, babanto amnyama, black women, Aishem, you took it. You protected them. I've just given you the story of my ex. Today I'm innocent and I'm still a good woman, and yet this guy has gotten away with all this murder, having been protected by everybody. The woman that he married, why am I saying asa complaining? Like, she will, in and of herself, she has a vested interest in standing with my cause. Because munatengi unalili wandering eye thing was a hectic. The husband has got a wandering eye. Same way that he embarrassed me, he now wants to embarrass her. They stand with them.